اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم ألهمنا مراشد أمورنا وأعذنا من شرور أنفسنا. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها قل إنما علمها عند ربي لا يجليها لوقتها إلا هو ثقلت في السماوات والأرض لا تأتيكم إلا بغتة يسألونك كأنك حفي عنها قل إنما علمها عند الله ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون. وقال الله تبارك وتعالى ولله الأسماء الحسنى فادعوه بها وذروا الذين يلحدون في أسمائه سيجزون ما كانوا يعملون. وقال الله تبارك وتعالى ولقد ذرأنا لجهنم كثيرا من الجن والإنس لهم قلوب لا يفقهون بها ولهم أعين لا يبصرون بها ولهم آذان لا يسمعون بها أولئك كالأنعام بل هم أضل أولئك هم الغافلون. صدق الله العظيم. These are 3 verses which was recited, and a unique 3 verses regarding the topic we wanted to discuss. So whatever was in my mind to mention tonight, most of it will go away, and I will focus on these 3 verses. May Allah Tabarak Ta'ala make it beneficial for all of us. The first issue is that everyone wants to know when is Qiyaamah. Amongst those people who want to, there are those that are just like excited. It's an exciting topic. Tell us something that's going to happen. Give me a date. So a Sahabi radiallahu anhu asked that, Ya Rasulullah, mata sa'a, that when will the hour be? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave a unique answer to that. In that answer, he explained to both parties. One is that group of people, me and you, who behave such that whenever we speak about the coming of Hazrat al-Mahdi, whenever we speak about the issue of Dajjal, whenever we speak about something's going to happen, we are so relaxed that that person always says, no, my great-great-great-grandson, it will happen with him. If someone has to read Surah Kahf, it's him, one great-great-great-grandson. Got nothing to do with me. Things are okay. As long as Ramaphosa is our president, South Africa got good times. Just the other day when there was a small tremor in South Africa, how many people were pulling out Surah Yasin? How many people were thinking, I have to leave the country? When it happens without any warning. It's not a story that then. So the first is that we must never ever think it's not going to happen in our life. Every Sahabi radiallahu anh learned a lesson from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They saw the approach of Qiyaamah so close. Innahum yarawnahu ba'ida. Almighty Allah says, there are some people who see it very fast. وَنَرَاهُ قَرِيبًا. Whereas when we look at it, we see it around the corner. The world, the Western world, how they have explained this issue that the earth is so small and the sun is so huge. And then we learnt it in school. And we saw what a mighty sun there is, what a small earth there is, whatever the intention was behind, that got nothing to do with the bayan. But because I mention it as an example, I'll just mention one point. Those who are investigators, those who are scientists, those who are teachers, I want you to think about this thing, that the earth is so small and the sun is so huge. I don't know how many times. I haven't gone to school for many years. And when I was in school, I hardly paid attention. I never understood why they taught us about when Napoleon, and he was born and what he did. I could never understand like what they had behind this thing of Shakespeare. So I had no thrill, but I don't know, you must have had a lot of thrill. So in today's time, science has gone very far. So the size of the sun compared to the small size of the earth, so small they say our earth is. Because my son goes to school, so he comes and tells me that we're all going making tawaf of the sun. And the sun is huge. So recently I started writing little bits.
So I'm just mentioning this as a passing by. This got nothing to do with Qiyaamah. As a passing by, I'm telling you one thing, that whoever is the teacher, whoever is the scientist, whoever is the professor, if you will just scratch a little bit on this entire theory, on the entire theory of me and you living on the outside of the earth, and someone in the bottom of the earth hanging upside down, and gravity fixing him straight so he's not falling into space, and someone is on top of the earth, someone is on bottom of the earth, and we are all on the outside of the earth, and then we're so small and the mighty sun is so big. I'm not going to go into it, but I'll end with the sentence. If you scratch a little deep into this entire theory, you will find 90% of it is a lie. 90% of it is a lie. That is why it got nothing to do with mine and your aqidah. Whether we're so small and the earth sun is so mighty, and whether we're making tawaf of the sun or not. But so much science has created in the mind of young children, that when that child is in school, he has been given so much of yaqeen of science, that the time comes when the professor will be able to tell the child, do you really believe a sky exists? And the boy will say, yes. He will say, we flew out of earth, there's no sky. It's what they call it, a reflection. They say a reflection of the waters, there's no sky. So the boy immediately, that sir, whatever you told me has always been the truth. I'll change that thing. Sir, whatever you have told, 3/4 of it is a lie. The only problem is you don't know it's a lie and I don't know it's a lie. When that teacher finally tells the boy that in this book of yours, this what you call Quran, your Allah spoke about a sky. He spoke about a sky you can see. He spoke about a sky that's a barrier. He spoke about a sky where the jinnat reach. Your Nabi spoke about the sun. The sun is far away. But he spoke about a sun where the jinnat reach, where they put up their horns. He spoke about things which are far, far, far from reality. At that time, there are so many boys in school and university who are being left shocked. And when they write a question, they are saying, science says this. But in Quran it comes like this. That sentence, science says this, means the point is this. How do you explain this verse? The whole thing must go upside down. 90% of what Western science today has taught, whoever will scratch will find as they lied about Darwin's theory, and they know it's a lie. Yet they'll spend billions to prove a theory that the father of all men was a monkey. What it got to do with them, who knows? But they will spend that money. They will go out of their way. They are spending billions to prove that the earth is small, the sun is huge, the earth makes tawaf of the sun. Man is on outside of the earth instead of inside the earth. There's no sky. Why they go out of their way? Why they spend billions? Why every Satanist of today, whether he's in charge of Google, whether he's in charge of all these unique apps that come out, the most amount that they give charity is what we call things like NASA. That you must prove we can go into the sky. You can prove you can go to the moon. 50 years ago, they made 3 landings on the moon, America. 3 landings they made. On each landing, they said, I put a man on the moon. After that, for the last 50 years, for some reason, man never reached the moon. They took pictures of it. They showed it around the world. At that time, before they reached the moon, there were certain ulama who said that I don't think you can reach the moon. It's possible, but it doesn't seem right. But when they showed the picture, that picture in mine and your understanding is called yaqeen. There can never be something called photoshopping. They wouldn't lie. They wouldn't spend billions. But after 50 years passing, today when people are asking them, why are you not going to the moon? Amazing the answer they're giving. They say it's too expensive. That answer, too expensive, it opened up a big story. When one person put the question, because in such a unique manner NASA spoke, And they said, we have today learnt that you have different levels of heat. And a certain level of heat melts steel. And there was so much of shock when they said it. And then somebody asked, but years ago you told us the moon is above that level. How did you go through that level and your entire ship never melt? Suddenly the whole story changed. And what an answer was given. They said 50 years ago we had a certain steel that managed to go through that. But it's too expensive to make anymore. Too expensive. The money of 50 years, the money of today. Today, one man in lanes, he can say, I want to go to the moon, I'll pay whatever I need to pay. Run away from my wife, the earliest, the farthest I can go, get me to the moon. That 50 years later, a country that could put 3 landings on the moon, 11 people. For 50 years after that, they could not send one man to the moon. But they took pictures of every single thing regarding that landing. It made us understand. Allah Ta'ala said, In ja'akum fasikum binaba'in fatabayyanu. That remember, if a fasik brings you any information, then take it with a pinch of salt also. When that scientist, when that professor, when that teacher in university speaks, he speaks with so much of conviction that he is putting doubts in the hearts of young Muslims who have regarded science as the authority, and they have not understood that this is the authority. This has never lied from day one, and no lie will ever be proven till the last. Science from day one changed. At the beginning they said the sun doesn't move. Few years later they said, hey, you know what, the sun does move. When we asked them, how come you thought it doesn't move? That time you also had a picture. How then you landed it does move? How you worked out the sun, the size of the sun? How you worked out last 50 years ago the earth had a different color. 50 years later the earth got a different color. Either the picture today is a lie or the picture 50 years ago was a lie. Or either earth on the outside is like one of our aunties. Every few years she says, let me change my clothing. 50 years ago earth had a different shape. Perhaps she's also like our aunties. Once she was thin, now she's got a little bit bigger. That earth changed shape. It changed color. Man reached the moon, but today he hasn't got the money to make that landing again. He made 3 landings at that time when the world had no money. And today for some reason he can't make 1 landing because the world got no money. So many lies, so many lies. Every sentence that they now teach in school has to be taken with a pinch of salt. That you say, sir, you lied so much already. Maybe you're speaking the truth, maybe. When my Allah said there's a sky, I can see the sky. So whether you think it's a reflection of water, this Quran is from the one who created the sky. Your story is from NASA. Your story is from NASA. You'll ask him, who works at NASA? He doesn't even know. He will say, but they don't lie. That's all. You say, who are they? We don't know. I say, but I'll tell you one thing. This Quran did not even come from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It came from the creator of the heavens and the earth. He spoke about a sky I can see. That's the sky I can see. There's no other sky I can't see. I can see a sky. He spoke about that sky is being held up without pillars which are visible. That sky is being held up. He said, from the sky my sustenance comes. Through that sky my actions go. He spoke about once upon a time the jinn would reach that sky. Very fast they would reach that sky. So that sky can't be billion and billion light years away. That sky is there. My Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke of that sky. He said from earth to the sky is a distance of 500 years. There's a sky there. You might say to me, your spaceship flew out of earth and it never came to a sky. I will say either it never left earth. It just went to a place where it got dark and you never know where you are. Or either you lied from day one. Whatever you're saying, but I will take it with a pinch of salt. And if you want me to believe you, then one day put me in your space shuttle. And let's go then for the ride. When I will take you up, I'll explain to you. Ya ma'ashar al-jinni wal-insi in istata'tum. My Quran said, O man and jinn, if you got the ability to escape from the sides of the earth, fanfudhu, then take a chance. La tanfudhuna illa bisultan. You will not manage to unless Allah says allowed. When Allah says allowed, you'll go into the sky. When Allah says not allowed, you're not going in the sky. When Allah says allowed, you can go out of the earth. When Allah says no, you can't. You will say, I'm already out of the earth. You're already on the outside. You one man hanging upside down. I will say, man, perhaps your entire theory is upside down. Perhaps there was no gravity. Perhaps there was no need for the story. Definitely what I'm saying, I don't know. But so much I can tell you, 90% of what science is teaching is not the truth. 90% of what science is teaching is not the truth. Theories were from the beginning. Philosophers in every era spoke about how things were. In every era they spoke with so much of conviction that people who looked at it in every era questioned Quran. In every era people questioned Quran. The next era, that group came and said they lied. But no one has ever said Quran was wrong. In every era, one exam that was given to the intellectual world was, you will see and hear many things. Do you believe in this Quran? Wallah, that man who says, Amantu billah wa kazzabtu nazar. I believe in the Quran and my eye, what it sees is a lie. That man will really go very far. When we speak about the signs of Qiyaamah, that was one. Modern day technology has come to amaze us. But as they came to amaze, they will also come with a slight lie. This is out of the topic, but very fast because we touched it, let's go into it. That what are we going to see in the next few years? Whoever has studied the past, especially the era of Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam, it was the only era in the history of mankind where a barrier between man and jinn was lifted. Man saw the jinn. After that day again the barrier came. Very hard for the jinn to come. Very hard for them to make contact. Allah's system, they were separated. In the era of Sulaiman alayhi salam, they were not separated. Quran has discussed in detail the era. I don't know if you people understand the value of that era. But go to Israel. Then you will understand the Jewish world, what we call today Illuminati, Freemasonry, Zionism. They got something with Sulaiman alayhi salam. They'll call it the Temple of Solomon. They'll call it the magic of Solomon, the hidden scrolls of Solomon, the digging where he buried what he buried of Solomon. Everything got to do with Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's da'wat started, he said, Sulaiman the Nabi. As soon as he said that word, the Jews became upset. He said, Sulaiman was not a Nabi, he was a magician. Whatever he did was magic. What they heard about Sulaiman alayhi salam, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala said, وَمَا كَفَرَ Sulaiman. That Sulaiman alayhi salam was no kafir. What was meant by that verse? That he never do magic to get what he did. But in that verse there was an indication that with magic you can also reach what Sulaiman alayhi salam once upon a time reached. In the books of tafsir they make an indication on the demise of Sulaiman alayhi salam. Before he passed away, Sulaiman alayhi salam got the message that a lot of magic has been written in his era. Because the jinn and man were meeting. And they found that opportunity where they made the writing of magic. Sulaiman alayhi salam, when the news came, he had his jinn going house to house searching for that magic. Everything that was written was brought. No one had a chance to really do it, to really practice. But whoever would practice on it was called kufr. It was called magic, but in that magic there was going to be kufr. Sulaiman alayhi salam passed away. Before passing away, he understood this thing here, the jinnat will try and get it. They made so much effort to make it written. Why won't they get it again? As Masjidul Aqsa was being built, Sulaiman alayhi salam had it buried. Where would he bury it? He buried it somewhere in Masjidul Aqsa. On his demise, he understood that as I pass away, the jinn will stop tomorrow. So his dua to Almighty Allah was, my demise must not become apparent to the jinn until the work is completed. He remained standing after passing away for 1 year. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala allowed him to stand with a stick. For 1 year, the jinn would come in the morning. They would see the mighty Sulaiman alayhi salam. He had a ring which he would face it to them. They would like burn. They were under him completely. They hated it. Kulla banna'in wa ghawwas. In his era, some jinn were building. They were going up, skyscrapers. Ghawwas. Some jinn were going into the waters deep. Some were making huge like ponds, like pots. Their job was just to be slaves and they hated it. No jinn likes to work for man. From day one it was the nature of the jinn, man must work for me. In the era of Sulaiman alayhi salam, they hated it. وَمَن يَزِغْ مِنْهُمْ عَنْ أَمْرِنَا. Almighty Allah said in that era, every jinn knew, if I just act stubborn, نُذِقْهُ, suddenly he'll be punished. You got no way, do what you have to do, and they did it. But they hated him and they hated man. Amazing that nature of that jinn. There were those jinn who saw that era. And it really seems that those jinn are still alive today in our era. They waited and they waited. Sulaiman alayhi salam passed away. It comes in the books that they said to people that if you can dig under Masjidul Aqsa, you will find certain writings. With that writing, you will be able to go in the air like how Sulaiman went in the air. You will be able to do what he did. People laughed at the jinn. It was understood what he did was with no writing. He went in the air. But there was some power that was written on paper. And the jinn wanted that. Era after era, they would beg people, will you be ready to dig under Masjidul Aqsa? No one ever listened to the jinn. Until what came, the first crusades in the history of man. In school, I'm sure you heard of the crusades. I'm sure you heard about the Christians and the Muslims had a truce. There was no need to fight. The Muslims were not fighting the Christians at all. The land towards Aqsa, the Christians would come and go easily. Suddenly one lie started. One pope, who was a Satanist from the day one pope stands up and he says the path to Aqsa is not safe. He says they are killing our people in the thousands, whereas no one was killing anyone. Every pope was going to repeat the same call. Whoever was around in the time of the crusades, recently whoever saw the era of 911, 911 was one plane went into one building. Every president of the world, as though he had investigated the matter and completed the matter. Before the investigation started, every president in the world already had found who's the guilty party. The war was already ready. The tanks were already going. At the end of that war of Afghanistan, whoever studied it understood it was a farce from day one. That crusades from day one was a made-up issue. Every pope, when he called out, it was understood before the crusades. Those who wrote about it, they said the effort for the crusades' first call started 100 years before that call was made. What was the purpose of that call? Nobody knew. The Christians went wild. Masjidul Aqsa was taken over. After Masjidul Aqsa was taken over, each person became a lord. You take that land, you take that land, you take that land. Then there was a group who came, they were called Knight Templars. They came there and they spoke to the King of England. And they said, we are such a people who will give our services for free. We will not charge you. He said, what do you want? He said, our job is to look after the Holy Land. Knight Templars. They said, we don't steal, we don't harm, we don't attack, we don't hurt. All we want to is a place in the masjid. They call it at that time the church. But this Knight Templars couldn't call it a church. The word church for them was also hard. They said it's the temple. They were the ones who called it the Holy Temple. When today's Zionists speak about the Temple of Solomon, there was never a Temple of Solomon. That word temple was never for a Christian, it was never for a Jew, it was never for a Muslim. That word temple was always the house of Satan. That group of Knight Templars said, we want to look after the temple. It was the first time in the history from the time of Sulaiman alayhi salam. For 10 years digging took place. 10 years of digging took place. And really they went deep. Today's digging is a continuation, and whatever they want to find, they want to find. 10 years of digging took place. At the end of 10 years, when they were grabbed, when the news came out that they are committing satanic acts under the church, under the masjid, the King of England had them called. He said, I heard that you all put up the cross there, and in front of the cross you are doing satanic acts. Filthy acts of homosexuality was taking place in there. So he had them all killed. That Knight Templar group had become a very huge group. But one of those people said that you kill us, no problem. What we came to get, we already got it. It was a unique sentence he said at that time. After that, we don't know what happened in history. We don't know what they looked for, why they went digging. And he said, whatever we got, we sent it to Europe. Whatever they said, we never knew. For years, we never knew. Whatever happened in Europe after that was history. Nobody bothered about Europe. But in Europe, it seemed papers reached. And those papers, with the help of the jinnat, there were people who worked on it. And worked on it for 100, 200, 300, 400 years. What they did with those papers, we would never understand. And then suddenly something happened. It was called the beginning of the age of light. Europe is coming out of the dark ages. The age of enlightenment started. The age of knowledge started. The age of technology started. Suddenly the Muslim world was left shocked. That Europe from nowhere, it started in Spain. The word in Spain they called themselves the magicians. Nobody understood why you call yourself a magician. But they enjoyed that world. Suddenly another word came out, it was called the Kabbalist. Kabbalah is our game. No one understood, what's this Kabbalah? For another 300-400 years it would remain a hidden science, Kabbalah. Then came the time where they introduced Kabbalah to the world. I read articles of people who wrote of Kabbalah. When we were small, we only knew Madonna. And Madonna said, I'm a Kabbalist. And what we understood is like wild and ugly and filthy. And you drink the blood of a pigeon. That's what Kabbalah is. But nobody will understand, why must Michael Jackson be in Kabbalah? Madonna in Kabbalah, Lady Gaga in Kabbalah. Everyone who's great has to be in Kabbalah. And then when they introduced it, a unique way they introduced the lines that were written. They said for many years Kabbalah was a hidden science. People were scared of it. People thought it to be satanic. They said there's nothing satanic about it. Rather, Kabbalah has produced, listen to this. They wrote, Kabbalah has produced the greatest scientists of the world. It is with Kabbalah that we have tapped into the hidden nature of the world. It is with Kabbalah we have learned how the water comes from the clouds, and we can bring water from the clouds. It is with Kabbalah that we have understood the happenings of under the earth and above the earth. Kabbalah has created the greatest philosophers, the greatest inventions, everything Kabbalah, Kabbalah. Again, it never made any sense and we never bothered, because I never ever thought that Muslim men and women will one day say, I want to study Kabbalah also. We never thought it. Until recently, when certain Muslim groups, especially who goes first into this thing, men don't read, we know that. Someone's writing a kitab, he said, who'll write your kitab? I say, men will never read. Men listen to bayans. Women read. And when women read, they can read books. Certain groups of Muslim women are getting today together. It began as something called a unique philosophy, a unique science. In the science, we will remove depression from you. And Muslim appas learnt it. Because an appa is a person who other people come to. I got a problem, my husband is troubling me. So what is depression? Depression is a created sickness. 3/4 of our medicine today made us depressed. And what came to remove depression? Satanic magic came to remove it. So that Appa learned something from the internet. She learned it and she had so much of yaqeen on it. It was called hidden therapy. It was called deep therapy. It was called, I'll go into your body. I will find depression. 10, 20 years ago, if someone came and said, I'll go in your body, you'll tell him you're nuts. A time came today where the Appa will sit cross-legged, you'll sit cross-legged, and suddenly Appa is in you. She found the problem. She found the depression. She found where 20 years ago your son or your brother or your sister or someone walking past you said, hey, your nose is crooked. And it settles. And you never knew why your whole life you always looked in a mirror, is it crooked or not? But that Appa was able to find that thing. She said, I found the problem. I found the pain. I found the hurt. Who doesn't want difficulty to be removed? It only went so much, but it never went so much. They said, if I can remove difficulty from one individual, how much people I can help in the world? So Appa started studying more. Recently in Durban, certain people who went high in the field, high, top Appas you'll say they are. That husband, I feel him sorry because his wife can make magic like anything. She can go in him. I'm sure if he got one girlfriend on the side, she'll find it there also. She said, you liar, I can see it. You got somebody else's love in your heart. Amazing, but I asked that who's in the group? Most of them were divorced women. So it don't really happen. Amazing, but so I asked, can I get some of those books which those Appas are teaching? The first book was a book on Durood. Salawat ala Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. How nice. You're starting off on what a level. Read Durood, your problems will go. The second or the third book on a level, that name itself made me laugh. It's called the Zabur. I heard of the Zabur in Madrasa, Dawood alayhi salam's book. That Appa, I don't know where she found the Zabur. They got the Zabur, but they studying that Zabur. In Madrasa we'll do to Bukhari Sharif, we never saw one line of the Zabur. An entire English translation of the Zabur is being studied. And then the last, or maybe one of the highest, which is a must for this part, is the Kabbalah. Muslim women are learning the Kabbalah. And when they are told this is satanic, they say, read it, there's nothing satanic about it. Obviously you won't find satanic about it. You're not going to see a goat's head in the front. Kabbalah started with Satanism. It went through so many circles that it's everything but Satanism. The only thing you can't see any Satanism in it. It was covered with so many veils, that today an alima also will open up the Kabbalah and she will say, I found nothing wrong with this knowledge. But if I learn this here, I can remove every sickness. I can remove every problem. I can remove every story. There is one fear we have. This was that verse that I read regarding Qiyaamah. Before Allah Tabarak Ta'ala spoke about Qiyaamah, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala said, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَدُعُوهُ بِهَا. Remember, for Allah there are unique names. But what must you do with the names of Allah? He said, make dua through the names of Allah. If you got depression, you don't go into somebody's mind to pull out depression. You lift up your hands and you look at the creator of the mind. And you say, oh Allah, I'll carry on crying to you until you remove my depression. And I will make dua and I will make dua. Because if I die with depression, I will still go into paradise. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala said, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَدُعُوهُ بِهَا. Remember, for Allah there are unique names. use the names in dua. Look at this verse. Everyone will say, that's what I do. Whoever studied Kabbalah and wants to know what is the beginning basis of Kabbalah, on top of which they put all shaitani, poison and satanic filth. Whoever studied Kabbalah in deep will know the basis of Kabbalah is also the names of Allah. It is also the names of Allah. But it is not dua through the names of Allah. It is interfering with the names of Allah. Interfering in such a satanic matter that if Allah can bring water from the sky, I will be able to do something with these names, that one day I will also bring water from the clouds. I will be able to do something that if Allah could cure the leper on the hands of the Nabi, I will play around until a time will come where I can also remove leprosy. If Allah can give sickness, I will play around with the thing that I can also give sickness. And if Allah can give cure, I will play around until I can also give cure. Until a time comes in the world when no one has to say, Ya Allah. Rather you can say, oh man, can you help me out? Oh robot, can you help me out? Oh Satan, can you help me out? And when you will see that robot one day saying to you, if you got a problem in the leg, come to me. And if you got a broken leg, I'll give you a new leg. If you got a headache, don't ever. We already reached a level of shirk. May Allah make us all maaf. It is a level of shirk, but as soon as I get a headache, what created this in me? That I will not lift up my hand and say, oh Allah, will you give me shifa from my headache? Immediately I will say, bring me Panado. What created it in me that Panado removes a headache faster than dua can ever remove a headache? Why did it come out of me? That technology has made me reach a level that it is only when technology hasn't yet managed to get work, that's when I say, oh Allah, can you help me out here? That is a level of shirk. And we don't know how far that level will go. In the next verse, Allah Tabaruk Ta'ala mentions, after mentioning His names, He says, وَالَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي أَسْمَائِهِ. There are some people who are going very off in the names of Allah. Look at that verse. In the names of Allah, there are people making ilhad. Whatever was an explanation, that other explanations are also there. But look at one explanation I'm giving you. Ilhad means kufr. Those people who make kufr in the name of Allah. Those people who make kufr using the names of Allah. You would have wondered, who will ever make kufr using Allah's names? Kabbalah is kufr with the names of Allah. Allah Tabaraka Ta'ala says, Sayujazawna. They will also get their punishments. This is that game that we have entered now. You want to know the sign of what is coming? What is coming is Kabbalah has reached its height. And it has now been introduced into Muslim circles. Because non-Muslims have already fallen into shirk. I plead with you. If I have to die because halal cannot give me cure, I cannot go to haram to get the cure. Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anh enters his house. He sees a ta'weez there. In the beginning era before Islam, everything was ta'weez. But in every ta'weez, the name of the jinn had to be written. It was only if the jinn's name was there. When Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, he spoke so much against it that the beginning verdict was open kufr. That is why there are certain people today, when you tell them ta'weez, they tell you kufr. So we explain, no, it's not always kufr. In the beginning era of Islam, before Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, any headache you got, you need a ta'weez. There was a Jew writing that ta'weez. As soon as that ta'weez would be put on, the headache would go. As soon as the ta'weez was put on, that man will remain in love with this woman. As soon as that ta'weez was brought, that girl will fall in love with that boy. Everything was ta'weez. But in every ta'weez was the name of a jinn. You had to submit to the jinn and your work would get done. Islam came. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam cut off the Ta'weez story. Everything he said is Allah. Everything is Allah. It became so hard in their mind. Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anh enters his house. His wife got a Ta'weez. It's called a Ta'weez of love. That the husband will remain connected with the wife. There's nothing wrong in the Ta'weez. Most likely she knew what is written. She would have seen there's nothing wrong. Immediately he pulled it out. He said the house of Ibn Mas'ud is free from shirk. That how can shirk come back in the house? It wasn't the Ta'weez. An alim writes the Ta'weez, no problem. He wrote the name of Allah. But to go back, what had happened in that era is what's happening today. When that person sits in front and makes muraqabah, when that person is reading certain words, they are not reading Quran to make you better. They have to read certain verses in which the shayateen are now being told, I submit in front of you, do the work for me. If you cannot find cure in halal, be ready to die and you will get paradise. We are on the verge, 2030, who hasn't heard? Alamat-e-Qiyamat, everyone wants to know, is it 2030? That's where the bayan is supposed to start. The first person asked, when is Qiyaamah? Allah's Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam answered, مَاذَا أَعْدَدْتَ لَهَا? Have you prepared for it? It's a unique answer. In one meaning is, are we ready? Are we ready means don't worry when it's going to happen. But be ready, it can happen tomorrow. Many of us sit, we'll hear this Qiyamah bayan. But when we go out, one man invested, he made an investment. That investment will start going to reap its profits after 90 years. So another scholar, Sheikh, heard about this investment, that after 90 years, so much of money will come. So laughingly, the scholar said, you know what? Amazing thing happened today. The angel of death passed away. Everyone got shocked. What do you mean he passed away? He said if angel of death never passed away, that man wouldn't invest for 90 years. Angel of death had to pass away. He knows he's not going to die. Some people like us, we got so much of ummeed for the future, that if Hazrat al-Mahdi has to come after 20 years, it seems it will be me and you who will tell him, Hazrat, you know what, we're not ready still. That one building just is coming ripe, it's almost ripe. We are not ready at all. If you go in the world, I'll tell you, people in Syria because of war have become ready. People in Afghanistan because of war have become ready. People in Iraq because of war have become ready. Let it not be that Allah Tabarak Ta'ala sees that you people don't want to get ready, I'll bring war on you also. We don't want that war. So if we don't want that war, let us get ready. Let us get ready means go back today in your life and say if tomorrow the call is made, am I ready immediately to say I respond? And if I say no, then why no? And let's get ready. So we don't know when it's going to happen. It could happen after 30, it could happen after 300. But death is around the corner. If we don't see Hazrat al-Mahdi, death is around. Get ready but. And maybe we might see it. Who knows? But whether we see that or not, I can tell you 2030, unless the angel of death comes to us before that, we are going to see 2030. So let me just take you into 2030. Vision 2030 is a vision, it's not a dream. It's a reality. 2030 is not far away. They say normally in English, first impressions last. So I'm going to give you the first impression. What is 2030? You're going to see a girl. Whatever they tell you about the girl before you go to see her, 3/4 is that what you see. If your mother says, I heard she's little fat, even if she's not fat, when you will sit there, you look at her stomach and you'll say, Mommy, I think she's a little fat. It's called first impressions last. If your mother says the girl is pretty, when you come out, normally it's supposed to happen. Nowadays, because boys know more about girls than the mother also. But normally it would happen if the mother said she's pretty. When the boy comes out of the room, he'll say, Mommy, she's pretty. Because first impressions last. I'm going to create an impression to you, a real impression. What is 2030? So that if we see it or on the way towards it, let us not lose our iman. We are so close to the ending, so close. Immediately after Almighty Allah mentioned that verse, that there are some people who fiddle with the names of Allah. They're going to get what they are deserving of. Lady Gaga never became Lady Gaga just because she sang beautifully. I wonder if she even sings beautifully. Once upon a time when she sang, her mother must have told her, please shut up. But when she fiddled, when she interfered, when she was ready to enter into the club of the Satan, suddenly she was put on every magazine. Suddenly she was put around the world. Suddenly they said, wow, all these pop stars, soccer stars. We reached one place, I just looked at a picture, it was the Beatles. The Beatles died when they died. When I reached the first time when I went into England, in the Heathrow airport as I'm walking, I'm only seeing the history of the Beatles. I said the Beatles in England are more important than even the King and Queen of England. The whole history of the Beatles I learned as I walked through Heathrow airport. To wonder what was this Beatle? Then I went to go read about it. In the highest levels of the satanic world was this group called the Beatles. They introduced satanic music to the world. They were put up on the highest levels. In the ending, nearly all of them most likely committed suicide. Nearly all. They were brought up not because they were masters. Each one story was the same. Kicked out of school. He never made this grade. He couldn't get this. He failed. And suddenly they became the greatest, the richest, more powerful than the presidents of the country, the Beatles. And then it never stopped. What made Michael Jackson, and Madonna, and Lady Gaga, whoever played with the names of Allah, they reached unique places in this world. Wherever they went, pictures were taken. People admired them. People adored them. They were called God. They were called star. They were called idol. Allah Ta'ala says, Sayujzaun. They're going to get what they're deserving. They're going to get. But immediately after that, Allah Ta'ala says, وَمِمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا أُمَّةٌ يَهْدُونَ بِالْحَقِّ. From the people who we created, there will always be a nation that will remain on the truth. Look at that verse. From the people we created, there will always be a nation. يَهْدُونَ بِالْحَقِّ وَبِهِ يَعْدِلُونَ. And because of the truth, they will remain straight. They will understand I cannot become as rich as you. They will understand I might not make my cure immediately because I don't trust this. I want to invest my money somewhere. Everyone is making it. They'll say, let's ask the Mufti. You say, are you always asking the Mufti? If Muftis knew how to make money, they'll be more rich than anyone else. Problem, why ulama are always poor? You'll hear people talk like this. They'll say, you ulama are not making money because everything is haram for you. Everything haram. وَمِمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا. Allah Ta'ala said, from the people who we created, it is not easy. It is not easy in the time we are. When anyone asks us, can I do this? And we feel so hard to tell him, you say, go ask one Mufti. Because we know it's not right. We know that's not right. We know that's not right. Finally the man says, everything is not right. We say, no, little is right. Lot is not right. وَمِمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا. Almighty Allah says, from the people who we created, there will be a nation, يَهْدُونَ بِالْحَقِّ. That they will remain on the truth. وَبِهِ يَعْدِلُونَ. Because of it, they will stay straight. They will also want lot money. But they will understand, I haven't been created for this world. I have been created to make another world. Don't fiddle with the names of Allah. The day someone says to you, will you become a Freemason? Years ago I visited Mauritius, years ago. At that time I spoke about Freemasonry. After the bayan, one man, we went to his house. He said, when I graduated from university, I was invited to become a Freemason. No one had told us at that time what is Freemasonry. No one knew. Like how today when we say Kabbalah is Satanist, people say, are you mad? It's not. At that time, Freemasonry, the ulama of the world, I saw a verdict at that time when it was asked, is Freemasonry allowed or not? In the ending, they never know how to say no. Because there was nothing wrong with Freemasonry. The person who took over Al-Azhar, The person who took over Al-Azhar, when he took over it, Muhammad Abdu, he was so happy to say that my teacher was a Freemason. Because at that time, no one knew what is Freemasonry. It sounded like a wow, he's a Freemason. So I mentioned Freemasonry. The man told, I was told to become a Freemason. He said, I became a Freemason. He says, there was nothing wrong with Freemasonry. He says, wherever I wanted to put my money, we used to have meetings where to invest. They could tell me where to invest. They could tell me this is going down. We pulled out our money early. He said, I made money, I rose. He says, after so many years, they asked me to do certain things which I couldn't do. That was all that he had to say. In that sentence was lots. They asked me to do certain things which I couldn't do. He says, but to refuse them, I never knew how to explain to my wife that tomorrow the millions that I'm pumping in, I might not be able to pump it in. I refused, and the man said to me that will bring you down. And I never thought they will bring me down. He said they brought me down. He even said finally I became a muazzin of a masjid. He said they brought me down. I would have told that person, Mubarak to your iman. There's very few people in the world who would be ready to lose millions when they were told to do what they couldn't do. Then once when I came in South Africa, I said, by the fadl of Allah, at least in South Africa, they don't invite us for Freemasonry. After the bayan, this was about 4 or 5 years ago, after the bayan, so many came to me. And they said, Moulana, we were all invited to Freemasonry. They are inviting. When you're in university, they come up to you. Recently in Azadwal, someone took a picture of papers that were now being sent everywhere. They weren't putting in Azadwal, but one person took a picture of somewhere. The thing is stuck on someone's electricity boards. Become a Freemason. We will show you how to make money. We will show you how to get success. Phone number. Open dawah to Freemasonry. Open dawah. What we are going to see in the next few years is an open call to shirk. And the only target now is me and you. Because everybody else went with it. If we can remain on this, وَمِمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا أُمَّةٌ يَهْدُونَ بِالْحَقِّ. From the people who we created, they will see it all. Vision 2030, I saw it already. How I saw it, I never knew I'm looking at it. First, when I went for Umrah years ago, I just turned around and I'm seeing on every Zamzam containers, Vision 2030. Vision 2030. I came to the airport, I saw Vision 2030. I said, what is this? Then we had a trip to make to Dubai. It was such a short trip, but Allah Ta'ala wanted me to see. I saw Vision 2030. I went into something called the Frame of Dubai. So many people I told after that, they said, we don't even know a frame exists. I said, I don't know how I reached there. Frame of Dubai, unique place. Other people I think only go swimming in Dubai. So I went high. That Frame of Dubai is high and unique. So when you reach up the frame, very fast I'll take you through the Frame of Dubai so you don't have to waste money. You don't have to go and see it. I'll take you on the journey for free. You reach there, it's just a frame. It's just a frame. It is one elevator going up and one elevator coming down. But in that there's a message, a unique message. Before you get the first lift, you just enter and you see people selling grain. And they write there that this was Dubai before the bang. This was Dubai. We were simple people. One auntie was sewing something. One woman had a burqa on. And now you enter the lift and now you go up. You go very high. It must be about 500 meters up or something. So you're half a kilometer in the sky. It's a thrill. But the bigger thrill is that when you're there, as you're walking, the glass becomes see-through glass. So as you just put your leg on it, suddenly it turns like a color. So you're not seeing anything. So if you got a fear of heights, you'll enjoy it. Because suddenly it means you're standing in the sky. You can't see anything under you. Although there is glass, a lot of glass under you. Because we saw a person, he's standing on the side of it, but he's not ready to stand on it. So I was saying to him that if we fall, you also falling with me. The only difference is I can see, you can't see. Because we're both on the same. His only is covered and mine is see-through. But it's so see-through that you'll never think you're standing on anything. And now it's a long walk. And as I walked there, I said, amazing. Whoever thought of this, most likely he met the jinn that saw in the time of Sulaiman alayhi salam, he did the same thing. Sulaiman alayhi salam also did something like this. And Bilqis the queen came, and Quran discusses it. And she couldn't see there was glass, and she thought it's water. She lifted up her leg like this here, and she banged and said, hey, and he said, it's glass, can't you see it? I said, whoever put this thing up, really he had some unique ta'alluq with the era of Sulaiman alayhi salam. But then we walked. As we were walking, I'm trying to understand, what's the thrill of this frame besides the walk? What was the thrill? They said, look on your one side. On the one side you look, they call it the old Dubai. Old Dubai was also a smart Dubai, where houses were 1 story, 2 stories, 3 stories. It was still smart. They said, look on your other side. On your other side you're seeing new Dubai, what we all see. Skyscrapers. Everything is touching the sky. Everything is touching the sky. They built Dubai like that. That on the one side is old Dubai, on the other side, and the frame is in between Dubai. And then as you go past, they explain that look how far we came. That once upon a time downstairs they were selling. And then suddenly things started, but it never stopped. We reached the sky already. So game over, I went in the lift, I said now finish, and we went down. As we came down, as soon as we entered, we just entered and it's a room, they said welcome to the future. And that's when we saw Vision 2030. Welcome to the future. The future meant you will see flying cars. You just enter and you will see, you got an appointment, hey, I'm late. So there are some cars moving, but there's no drivers. One person wrote recently about it. He says, if you're breaking your head trying to learn how to drive, don't bother. Because in the next 10 years, no one will be driving. No one will be driving. The car will come immediately. So we saw it. The cars are moving on the roads. But more than that car, this man is late for appointment. Suddenly he says, hey, I got an appointment. Tick, tick, tick. One car from the sky comes. He said, you can't get caught in traffic. There's no traffic up there. Suddenly he's flying in the sky. What a life. We call it paradise. In paradise we'll be flying. Vision 2030 is you must be flying in the sky. You might say it'll never happen so fast. When they're saying we want it to happen, it's like they're saying we're running out of time. Meaning they're running. They got this last push to create such a world of technology that the last group of believers will also give up. Such a level of technology. In Vision 2030, they showed the man is on a wheelchair, entering a hospital. The robot comes in front. It takes a scan of his entire body. It picks up the problem is in the leg. Immediately an order is made wherever it's made. A leg is created. Suddenly the leg is brought. Old leg removed. New leg put in. The man stands up from the wheelchair. A sentence goes, a land in which there will be no sickness. A land in which there will be no sickness. A land, they could have said it, in which there will be no death. Meaning the angel of death is not coming. A land in which your every pleasure will be fulfilled. Allah spoke about Jannah. Whatever you think about, we'll get it. In this land, the robot will be able to read your mind. The robot will pick up, you want milkshake, here's your milkshake. You will not have to ask because you'll have a gadget in your mind. You'll think milkshake. The order will be given. Immediately it will be brought. You will not have to go to it. In Vision 2030, you saw you entered a room. Suddenly it's a kitchen. From the roof of the kitchen, one hand came out. You'll think it's coming to grab you. That hand is the cook. Suddenly it's a robotic hand. That hand asked, you want coffee? That fingers of that robot started moving. From the roof it came. It's pressing one button there, one button. Suddenly your coffee is delivered. They never write that. But I wanted to add one sentence. A land where there'll be no need for your wife. You don't need her to make coffee anymore. She said, I won't make eggs for you. You say, what you bother of eggs? I got my boss there on top. I'll just say, in the past I looked up, وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ. Allah said, in the heavens is your rosy. In Vision 2030, in the roof is your rosy. That hand will come and make your food. There will be no need for Bismillah. There will be no need for worrying of sickness. There will be no need for worrying of crime. There will be robots everywhere who are police. You can't do any crime. You can't steal anything. It's a land where you are the king. No. It's a land where you will be served your every desire on condition that you must be ready to accept the power of something besides Allah. And whoever loves living, I fear when that vision 2030 hits. The city is called Neom. Some people don't believe me. So it's happening. So now you go on the internet because now nothing is hidden. It is called Neom, N-E-O-M. Neom really means in another language, not in English. It means new. M is actually an Arabic word. They put the two together. Mustaqbil. Mustaqbil means the future. Neom, new future. For the world it's a thrill. The airport is already there. The work is already there. You will wonder so much is happening, we don't know about it. The reason is first impressions last. When it's going to bang, it will bang like how Kabbalah banged. That even an alim and alima will look at it and they will say, but there's nothing wrong in this. We will say it's open Satanism covered in veils and veils. When they will bang it, Mubarak to that person who before it can see the shayateen in it. Who will say, I will not submit. Well, وَمِمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا, from the people who we have created, أُمَّةٌ يَهْدُونَ بِالْحَقِّ. There will be a nation who will stay on the truth. It will not be easy. But we are not created for this world. Don't become a zombie to technology. Because whoever is a zombie today will be a worshipper of technology tomorrow. Pull back. Use it, but don't worship it. Use it, but don't be amazed about it. We are only amazed of one thing. It is called this Quran. I'm a professor at school, no problem. But I am not amazed at science. I am amazed at the creator of the heavens and the earth. This is my beginning, this is my ending. I will live on this Quran, I will die on the Quran. Everything else I will take with a pinch of salt. I'll use what you got to offer me, but I will never submit to you. I have submitted in sajda to Allah. I will remain in that sajda to the end. If my Allah does not want to give me cure, for whatever reason it is, I will die with that sickness. But I will never be prepared to go to the shayateen who can give me cure. Because I haven't been created to live healthy. I have been created to live as a slave. In which hal He keeps me, I am happy. Because I am the slave and He is the master. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى. Unique names they are of Allah. فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. I'll lift my hands and I'll beg. I will cry and I will cry. In my crying I will make my paradise. And in my crying, I will sort out many of my problems. If some of my problems don't get sorted, I will not bother. Because I will say, oh Allah, what makes you happy, makes me more happier than what would have made me happy. I would have wanted something, but what you want is more important to me than what I want. This is the meaning of I am your servant. I will live today as your servant. In this world of vision 2030, the sentence is said, I will fulfill your every need as long as you submit to the shayateen. In my world with my Allah, the sentence is said that my Allah has said to me, I will fulfill your every need in that world as long as you remain submitted to me. They will also find 20, 30 years, whoever became a Kabbalist, whoever became a magician, whoever became a millionaire in playing with the names of Allah, they'll find perhaps 30, 40 years, their every wish will get fulfilled. But the day they die, that shaitan will never say to them, I'll pull you out of death. On that day he will say, Ana bari, I got nothing to do with you. You are on your own now. As for my Allah, the day my eyes close, my Allah will say, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says in the Quran, وَنَادَى أَصْحَابُ الْجَنَّةِ أَصْحَابَ النَّارِ. A day will come where the people of paradise will say to the people of hell, أَن قَدْ وَجَدْنَا مَا وَعَدَنَا رَبُّنَا حَقًّا. That wallah, we found what my Allah promised to be the truth. فَهَلْ وَجَدْتُمْ مَا وَعَدَ رَبُّكُمْ حَقًّا. What about you? You found? قَالُوا نَعَمْ. Someone burning in the fire will say, yes, I also found it. The truth will come out in another world. Don't spoil that world for 5 days of good health and 5 days of good money. Allah has given us so much already. Don't push for more. Our everything is this Quran. This is what we call the signs of the coming of the day. Qiyaamah is still far, but we are going to see many things happening. Amongst those things, we are going to see a unique burst of technology. And it's going to pull. You are going to hear Kabbalah so much, but you will never hear it's satanic. You will hear it's wow. You will hear it's amazing. You will hear it will take away your every sickness. From me you have heard it. And believe me, and wallah, one day you'll see the truth. Satanic, satanic, satanic from the beginning till the ending. If you have to live with sickness, live with sickness. Find your health in halal. Find it in dua. If Allah wants to give us, He'll give us all. If Allah wants to hold back, continue crying, because in that you are making your paradise. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.